Hey guys, Zen here, and today I wanted to do another one of those essay style videos because I wanted to talk about Twitch and her F2. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, there's a bit of an experiment happening here in Season 1 of Year 4 in Rainbow Six Siege. Now, Ash recently lost her ACOG for her R4C. This has been a massive topic from within the community, and honestly, throughout everything that we've learned and everything that we know about Operation Burnt Horizon, including both Mozzie and Gridlock, this news of Ash losing that ACOG has probably been the pinnacle thing in the entire season, at least so far. And at least for me, this has definitely been a change that I've noticed more so than anything else within this season, surprisingly enough. But with Ash losing the ACOG on the R4C, this isn't just being done to fix the pick rate or to smite Ash players. This is somewhat of an experiment being held by Ubisoft. So when this announcement first came out and they revealed that Ash would be losing her ACOG for this weapon, they also revealed that they'd be testing this out to see if future attackers could launch without access to the ACOG scope. Now, there's been a lot of talk within the community about people saying that 3 speeds across the board throughout the game should not have ACOG scopes. There's already that baked in rule that nothing more than a 3 armor has access to an ACOG on defense, and so a lot of people have been trying to apply this to attack as well. Now, the big reason why I wanted to talk about Twitch is because if you take a look at the win rate and pick rate data that we got for Year 3 Season 4, you'll see that right next to Ash, the runner-up attacker is Twitch. She's very strong. She has a lot of options and a lot of utility at her disposal, but if there's one thing that tops the cake with this operator, and I think brings players back time and time again, is her main assault rifle, the F2. Before we continue, I want to know which aspect of this operator do you guys think is more powerful? When you pick Twitch, are you leaning more towards her shock drone and her utility, or do you find her fragging capability with the F2 to be the more viable option with this operator? Let me know in a comment down below. Now, Twitch in Year 4 Season 1 with Operation Burnt Horizon is definitely not the same powerhouse that she was even last season. With the introduction of Mozzie, Twitch has a much harder counter now than simply mute jammers. Mozzie has the ability to trap a Twitch drone, which if he gets a hold of it, could completely turn the drone around and have it work against them in a lot of cases. Now, obviously, the Twitch drone has a lot going for it. It has the tasers, which are able to knock out electronics and also do a little bit of damage or even finish off enemy defenders, and it's also silent. So again, when Mozzie gets his hands on it, you also have that intel that you could get with him that's completely silent. So that's a big change for this operator in Year 4. Now, of course, Twitch's shock drone has seen quite a few nerfs, especially as of recently. The most recent one is by adding red lights to the front of it, very similar to all the other drones, so that stealth aspect has gone down quite a bit with these red lights. But they really haven't changed the F2 in any significant way in the last couple seasons, and it is still easily one of, if not the best attacking weapon in the game right now. So over the course of a few seasons, Ubisoft has implemented some nerfs to the F2. I believe they lowered its mag capacity and they did lower its damage since launch, but other than that, it is still very strong, and I think the main reason for that is the weapon's fire rate. At over 900 rounds per minute, this gun is just a headshot machine, and it also still has a fairly high damage stat, so it doesn't take many body shots to put someone in a down but not out state. And at least for me, this weapon has an extremely easily managed recoil pattern, and once you master it, there's almost no shot that you can't line up. Now, back when the shock drone had those 10 shots and it didn't have the red lights, and it also didn't have that minor sound nerf that made it a little bit louder, I definitely leaned much more heavily into picking Twitch for her utility. The fact that you can knock out as many gadgets as you used to be able to, and also being able to do some pretty significant damage to the defenders without even being in the same room as them, was pretty big, and was definitely a lead reason why I would lean more towards her as that support character. But that really isn't the case any longer. Twitch's shock drone now has very hard counters, and one kind of subtle hard counter is actually Kaid. If you create a barbed wire trap and then set the electric claw up in an area that the Twitch drone simply can't reach it, she won't be able to pass through, so she really won't have access to whatever area that you have that barbed wire electrified trap set up. Then of course, like we've already established, there is Mozzie, who is a massive counter and is now, in my opinion, the biggest counter to Twitch. So the main reason that I now decide to pick her is definitely for that F2. It has a high fragging capability. Of course, it has that ACOG scope, that high fire rate. It's just a absolute beast of a weapon, and when I'm on the attacking side, it's definitely one that I'm most comfortable with overall. So the potential for Twitch to lose the ACOG scope on her F2 is very real in my opinion. I really can't think of another attacker weapon that's that strong and that consistent right now in the game. I think the biggest factor and the only thing that will really stand in between her losing that ACOG or not is Mozzie. Is that counter that strong against this operator to kind of drive that pick rate down and have people opt for Thatcher or Maverick in her place? I think right now the community as a whole is really enjoying Mozzie. I think he's really fun. There's a lot of aspects to him that we really haven't uncovered yet because of how much variability his gadget actually brings to the defensive side, and I don't think we've seen the pinnacle of what he can actually do with a shock drone in the right hands and in the right circumstances. So I think it's still going to require some time before we know exactly how effective that Mozzie counter is to Twitch, but again, that doesn't stop her fragging capability, and it really doesn't stop people from picking her because of how good that F2 is. Now, if Ubisoft did go ahead and look at the data with Ash and then go and take away Twitch's ACOG for her F2, there is one other aspect that I think would make a significant change on the meta, and that is Thatcher. Now, as of right now, even above Twitch, I think Thatcher is the best, easily the best support operator in the game right now. He doesn't have those counters like Mozzie and Kaid, and he doesn't have to worry about really anything from the other side of a wall. Thatcher can knock out so many devices and gadgets, or at least disable them from a safe distance or even behind a reinforced wall, and his utility is just absolutely insane right now. But I think it's that utility that kind of separates Thatcher and Twitch. Twitch has that higher fragging capability with the F2, and Thatcher is able to more safely and I think easily deal with electronic gadgets with his EMP. So if Ubisoft were to remove the ACOG from the F2, I think they would have no choice but to make some kind of balancing change to Thatcher so that he wouldn't become an absolute must pick and the prominent support role on attack. Now, even with everything we've laid out here and everything we've discussed, I don't think that Twitch needs to lose the ACOG on the F2. Yes, she's a very strong operator right now and has always been, and the F2 is, in my opinion, the best weapon on attack. I think it's that fragging capability that really separates her from Thatcher and even Maverick to some degree. Thatcher, again, has so much utility and can do so much so easily and so quickly, and Twitch has to work a lot harder with the shock drone. Even in the past, she's always had to work just a little bit harder than Thatcher to get the drone on site, take out defender gadgets, and hopefully be stealthy enough to tag up a couple of defenders and get some easy assist points. Now, it takes a lot of skill, it takes a lot of patience, and it also can eat up a lot of your time on attack to be really effective with Twitch while she's using the shock drone. She really has one of the most unique gameplay loops in the game, and I also think she has one of the highest skill gaps, which actually makes her one of the hardest attackers to use. So yeah, the F2 is powerful. It just might be the best weapon in the game, but I think it has to be. It's what separates Twitch from her competitors and also makes her really powerful without the use of the shock drone. As far as the most recent win delta and pick rate data, Twitch is the second most popular and most powerful operator on attack, and I think that Ubisoft probably still does have some plans for her, and if we have anything to gauge off of, especially with the most recent nerf to Ash by losing her ACOG scope, there's a good possibility that this data and whatever feedback may come out of this change to Ash has an effect on Twitch. We already know they're planning on using this feedback to develop future operators and possibly introduce new attackers without ACOG scopes, and it could be only a matter of time until we start seeing these kinds of significant nerfs and significant changes coming to a lot of the weapons that are currently in the game, and I can't think of a more prolific and powerful weapon that this could happen to than Twitch's F2. Based on everything I've heard from within the community and my own personal ranked matches, this change has definitely had a significant impact on the pick rate of Ash. I'm definitely not seeing her as much, and I know a lot of people are refraining from using her because they just don't want to give the G36C a chance, and they don't see a point in using an attacker without an ACOG, so they choose someone else. And as far as new operators, I can almost guarantee that we will see new attackers coming to the game without access to the ACOG scope. I think in general, Ubisoft is kind of trying to tone back the use of the ACOG scope because pretty much wherever it's available, it's going to be used. Myself personally, if it's available available on a loadout or a weapon, it is my go-to sight every single time, and I can assume that's probably the same for a lot of you guys. But that's everything, guys. Ash lost the ACOG scope on the R4C, and I think that there's potential for Twitch to as well. But let me know your thoughts. Do you think that Twitch should lose the ACOG scope on the F2, or do you think that she's a perfectly balanced operator the way that she is? Let me know everything in a comment down below. If you did enjoy this video, please drop a like and subscribe with notifications if you're new. With that being said, it's been Zen. Hey, I'm out.